Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Happy Friday, April 22nd. Time for another store review. Not a whole lot in the store, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. At the end of the video, I'm going to open up a Lucky 5 containers. Lucky containers are back in the store. If you know anything about them, know that you are guaranteed to get a tank. The way it works is if you pull a tank that you already have in your garage, instead of getting the tank or compensation for that tank, you get a lucky container for the next tier up. So the idea here is that I purchased a tier 5 lucky container, and I want to open up the containers all the way 5 through 8 so that we can see the list of what's inside. I'm also expecting to be able to get into the tier 9 and tier 10, and I can't find anywhere on Blitz that shows the list of those tanks. So this is a good deal for those people that have, say, a lot of these lower tier tanks, and there's a high probability that you can get yourself up to the tier 9, tier 10 level with a very low investment. We'll get to that here in a second. I have the WZ112TM, which is in stores right now. I've played a few games. I have not played much this week, guys. This tank is, I would say, poor man's Chimera, but that would imply that this tank is cheap. Well, it's not really cheap. It's 15,000 gold. It just does not stack up statistically to the Chimera. The Chimera is better than this. You've got better pen on the Chimera. You've got more alpha damage on the Chimera. You've got 3 degrees of extra gun depression on the Chimera. You've got 5 kilometers per hour more speed. So yeah, I would hold off on this tank unless you are an absolute true collector like myself. Few hours left on this pop-up offer. Not really a lot to talk about. I did think, though, that this $50, 18,000 gold, 180,000 free XP, 180 days of premium time, 1.8 million credits for $50, 360 gold per dollar. Not a horrible deal. This one at the end with all of the boosters, not a good deal. Even if you win every game there, you're still looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 300, 400 gold per dollar, and you'd have to win 1,000 battles consecutive at tier 10 for that to take effect. So yeah, let's jump in. The one tank that we obviously have to talk about is the bundle here of the T-54E2, the Shark with its camo, and the Object 252U. Two great, wonderful tanks. Two tanks that you will use frequently. Two tanks that are just enjoyable to play. For 15,000 gold, 15,500, let's correct that. Got all the equipment slots. I think this is a great deal if you don't own both of these tanks. You can buy them individually. We'll get to that later. On the other hand, stay away from this bundle. Not, the 59 patent is a tank that I don't like. It's just not good really at anything. The Type 64 is a tier 6 light tank. Difficult to play. Love the speed of it. Love the accuracy of the gun on it. But again, a difficult tank to play. And the Type 59 is a little bit too slow. It's got some nice armor for a medium tank, but to me, it is just too slow. Here's the squad of strangers. So for $45, you're going to get 4 containers. You are guaranteed to get 4 tanks out of this. And we'll show you how this works at the end of the video. The Chieftain Mark 6, we talked about this, 20,000 gold. Still pretty high for the price, but it is one of the most sought after tier 10 tanks. Or you can gamble on it for a lower price. You're more than likely to end up with gold in that deal there. There's the WZ, 15,000 gold. Talked about that already. Only buy this, if you're a true collector, in my opinion. The Chimera is better in every way. Save your money for the Chimera. Universal Platoon here. 2 just very average tanks. The price does look good, but again, guys, I don't think that these are tanks you're going to be pulling out of your garage frequently to play, and you're going to probably at the end of 3-6 months say, why did I spend money on these tanks? Another tank that you will say the same thing about is the Panzer 5.8. It's just an all-around okay tank. It doesn't do anything great. But again, the price looks good, so don't necessarily be fooled by that. As you know, I struck out royally on the Object 752, opened, I believe, 4 or 5 of these containers last week and did not get the tank, even though for each of these that you purchase, you should have about a 33% chance of getting the tank itself. T25, I believe we've seen this maybe recently for free. So that is why you see the price so low. If you're new to the game and you're looking for a tank that is a solid medium tank, this is not a bad investment. You're going to make credits with it. It's a very accurate gun. You know, it's not a horrible tank if you're new to the game and you're still playing tier 5 quite frequently. We talked about all of these last week, so if you want to see that, jump down to last week's video. Here's the Shark and the Object 252U individually for $8,500. So you can see together they're still pricing them pretty high for tanks that have been around for a little while. We'd like to see that at $7,500. We already talked about the menacing platoon, just to show you how bad I think the patent is, that I wouldn't even pay $5,000 for the 59 patent there. $6,000 for the Type 59 is a reasonable price. All right, and so we've talked, I think, about these other tanks enough. Gold we talked about last week, esports. Here's our containers, and so here we get into the Lucky 7, the Lucky 8, the Lucky 6, and I already purchased the Lucky 5, which I believe was $8. So there is one other containers I want to talk about, and it's the containers collection. Obviously, this with the 31% discount, you're going to get 18 containers, each with their own tank in it, each with their own drop percentage in it. So 12,000 gold, and this actually turns into a better deal than up here at the top for the Object 752. This, I believe, only had around a 33% drop chance for 16,000 gold. But if you're looking for a tank and you want to gamble on crates for 12,000 gold, I believe this works out to be roughly a 60% chance that you'll get one of these tanks. And the way it works is you're going to get the 18 containers, and each container, like for the WZ112, has a 5% drop chance. Most have 5% drop chance. AMX 30B only has a 2.5. The SU-130 has 5. So there's good tanks in here. The one that you would be disappointed about here is the Pilot. But outside of that, I think you'd be pretty happy with just about any of these tanks. And I'm not sure you are compensated with gold if you get a tank that you already own. So that's not bad either. So if you want to gamble, there's lots of places to gamble here. This has a higher percentage chance of getting a tank than the Object 752 containers. So, like I said, let's jump on over and do the Lucky 5 container. So I want to just go through and make sure that we give a list of everything that's in here so that you have a good idea. You know, if you have 80%, 90% of these tanks, you could buy this container knowing that there's a high probability you're going to get a tier 6 and be able to move up. So Angry Connor, Excelsior, Matilda, Krupp, PZ54, T25, Chinukai, Ram, T14, Churchill 3, Matilda 4, SU85I, Scavenger, Nightmare, and M4A2E4 are in this container. So let's just go ahead and open it, and we'll see what happens. We would have gotten the PZ54. Now, we already have that tank, so immediately it pops up as a lucky container 6. So let's make sure we get a list here. 6.67% drop chance for each one of these tanks. Type 64, Poodle, Britannia, AC4, Tog 2, Cromwell B, Dicker Max, Tiger 131, PZ4S, the STRV, Churchill, the Fury, Loza Sherman, SU100Y, and T3485. Again, I have all of these tanks, so we are guaranteed to get the next tier up. There's the PZ4S. All right, so let's make sure we get a list of what's in the tier 7s. 4%, we've got some more tanks in here. Type 62, AMX 1357, AT15A, E25, the VK45, Panther, Tankenstein, Dracula, M4 FL10, Lycan Annihilator, Helsing, Blaze, FV201, T28 HTC, T26 E3 Eagle, M6A2E1, T23 E3, the ISU 122S, IS2, T44 85. It's even got the Smasher in here, SU 122, the Rudy, the Gravedigger, and the Smasher. So we should be able to open this. And we would have gotten the Blaze, which we already have. So now we're all the way up to a lucky 8 container. Last one was 4%, so this is going to be a long list. I probably will not read it. We'll just scroll through here. Skoda, Progetto, Emil, some great tanks there. The Samoa. They've even added the Kanonen in here, so that's new. Got both Yag Tigers, Action X, Centurion Mark V, Chimera. This is a long list, a lot of tier 8 tanks. So my guess is most people probably don't have all of these tanks, and probably a pretty high percentage that you might not be able to get past this level here. So we would have gotten the WZ121 GFT, and now you'll see we're gotten to the point here. There's only 4 tanks here. The AMX 30, I'll open it here so we can see it better. KPF, PZ70, T55A, and K91. 25% chance of getting one of those. I already have all 4, so we're guaranteed to get to the lucky 10. And you can see how this would be a good deal. If you own a lot of those tanks, and for what, $8 here, we've climbed all the way up to a tier 10, and I'm going to get compensation, it looks like, of 2,500 gold. It's 312 gold per dollar. Not horrible. 121B, Chieftain, M60, WZ111, AMX 30, Super Conch. It's kind of disappointing that they haven't added new tanks here, because I have every single one of these tanks, and I know there's some tier 10 tanks out there that I don't have. So would have been nice to see that they'd added to this list. We'll leave it up here just a minute longer so that you can take a good look at it. We'll go ahead and open it. We would have walked away with the Chieftain. And instead, we're going to get 2,500 gold. So anyway, guys, that's the way the lucky containers work. Now you know what's in each container, and you can make that decision as to whether or not you should gamble on those containers. So hope you have a wonderful weekend, and of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.